everyone, this is Gail, and you saw, hopefully you watched my video on making the Celtic knot bracelet, and I was going to put some liquid clay on it to seal it and to give it a shinier finish. And I had a request that's from someone that I show how to use the liquid Kato to finish an item. So that's what I'm going to do. This is my bottle of liquid Kato. This is the clear. And I'm going to just squeeze some into a little plastic cup. You don't need a whole lot. Because one thing you want to do with liquid Kato is put it on very, very thin. And what I did, I took a paper towel roll and I wrapped some paper towels around it and then tucked in these little wooden pieces here just to kind of tighten it up a little bit. And this is what I'm going to use, because whatever surface you use to heat the clay is going to get hot. Now I am not using an embossing tool, I'm using a heat gun. And the reason I'm using this is because Kato clay needs to be at a very high temperature for it to get clear. Now, I would not try this with any of the other clays, the liquid clays. I don't think it would work. For one thing, the TLS does not dry clear and shiny. It will have a smoky matte finish to it when you finish doing it, and I'm not sure how it handles the heat. But the liquid Kato will handle the heat and give you a really nice shine. So let me just start. I'll start on the side since that's going to be the easiest to see. And let me just come in a little bit so maybe you can see a little bit better. You can see that my pieces are not real uniform. And I can't sand this because it's coated with mica powders. Even though the mica powders have cooked into the clay, they're only on the surface, and if I sand it, it's going to sand off the mica powders. So I'm going to try smoothing this out. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't use paper towels right there. Maybe I should put a piece of cardstock. Let me put this down somewhere where it won't get clay. Let me put a piece of cardstock around here, just to put a buffer between the clay and the liquid clay and the paper, because otherwise I'm afraid it's going to stick to the paper. So let me do this. And one's not going to go all the way around, but if I just work on this one side so you can see it, it should work okay, and then I'll just move it when I'm ready to work on the other side. Now this is something that you need to have time when you're doing it. Now I feel a little bit better about having something between the clay and the bracelet, or the paper and the bracelet. So anyway, I'm just going to take, you see I just have a little bit of clay on my brush. Well, there's a little bit more on that side. I'm going to brush some of that off. And I'm just going to put a very thin coat of the liquid clay on the bracelet. And just remember, it's better to put several thin coats than to try to put a thick coat on. I think a thick coat is not going to work as well. But I think this will work for the first layer. And I'm just going up to the knot. So let me lay this down. And I'm going to turn on my heat gun. Now this is, like I said, let me go back out just for a minute. This is not an embossing gun, because an embossing gun really doesn't get as hot as it needs to for the liquid clay to become clear. So I'm using a regular heat gun. and it's got 2 speeds to it. This is an inexpensive one that I got at Lowe's. They have a Black & Decker that's a 2-speed, or 2 heat levels is what it is. And I'm going to use the lowest of the 2. And it's going to be noisy, so let me tell you before I turn it on. The liquid clay is going to go through stages. Right now it looks wet, and it will look wet, but then it's going to turn cloudy, and then it's going to turn clear. And we want to keep going until it gets through the cloudy phase and gets to be clear. So I'm going to turn this on. Let me move my liquid clay out of the way. I don't want it getting in the heat. And we will see how this goes. Hopefully you'll be able to see the changes. Okay, it's heating up. And you want to keep moving it. You don't want to, it's not even really loud, is it? But you notice I've got the heat close to the bracelet. So just keep watching. Like I said, I don't know if you'll be able to see the change or not. Alright, it's gotten to the milky stage. Can you see that it's kind of dull and milky? And then you just keep going, and it will eventually get shiny again. And once it gets shiny again, it will stay shiny. And it's beginning to get shiny. Let me turn this off, and let me set it up so it doesn't heat up anything. Now can you see the shiny finish that you have? And yet it's dry. It looks wet and shiny, but it's dry. So let me go over. There's a little piece of something there that needs to come off. Might just be a crumb that's left on there. Let me get that off before I seal it in with the liquid clay. There we go. See if you can see the difference in this side, which is untreated, and this side. Can you tell a difference? See, this one's a little shinier. But I'm going to put this side on now, and I'm going to build it up with the wooden pieces. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You get some liquid clay and brush a thin coat. Now, it's probably more than I should have put on here, but I will spread it out. And like I said, we'll be putting several coats on here. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn on my heat gun to low, and we'll go through the process on this side. Let me see if I can get it up closer so you can see what's going on. Maybe you can see the stages. Right now it's just heating up. And in a minute it's going to get dull and kind of milky looking. And then it's going to get shiny. Whoops. probably wouldn't have hurt to put this back on the metal bracelet blank. To help keep it in a shape that it needs to be on, because the clay is going to change a little bit with the heat. So we know that's the size it needs to be. But now I've got two sides that I've done, and I'm going to do the same thing on the knot. And I probably ought to use a smaller brush on the knot, but since I've got this one out, I'm going to brush in the direction of these little knots. Here you can see the difference here. This right here has not been treated, and this has. See how shiny this is compared to this? So Kato will give you a nice shiny finish if you heat it hot enough. And it cures clear. And an oven is just not hot enough to get the clay to the temperature it needs to be to get a nice finish. I believe I have the knot nice and covered now. And like I said, always use a thin coat. You don't want a big, thick, heavy coat, because then it's just going to get kind of gloppy. Let's see if I can get this on here first. Keep forgetting about the card. And having more trouble with the card, with the paper towel roll than I am with anything else. Maybe if I put this on it first, that will hold it, and then this will slip on. But this will help keep it in, and this way I don't need to use the wooden blocks, but this will help stabilize it and keep it the size it needs to be. So again, I'm going to heat. Right now it's wet. It's getting a little cloudy. Now it's getting shiny. Because it's so thin, you don't really see a big difference in the cloudiness. And you can heat up the sides if you want, just to kind of keep it even. Just keep your gun moving and the temperature hot. You don't need the high temperature until the very end, and I'll use the high temperature to give it a final quick shine. Alright, so now that's done. I'm going to let it cool a little bit. Won't take long. And then I'm going to go through the process 2 or 3 more times. And I'm not going to make you watch, but I wanted you to see the beginning, and then I'm going to put a couple more coats on, and then I'll come back and show you the end with the final shiny treatment. So I will be back. I decided to turn my camera back on. This is the 3rd coat. And after I finish getting this to the stage I need it to get to, then I'm going to turn the heat up just for a minute. And I just wanted you to see that part. So let me just get this cured. This this method is really good for things like this that you can't sand and buff. Or if you've got some marks in it, like this had some marks. This is cloudy now. It's going to be turning shiny in just a minute. But things that you can't shine or sand and buff, this is perfect. I'm trying to think of where that, I don't know where the place was. I had a place on here that was really not a good finish. It's probably right here. There was a big dent in it, and it wasn't anything I could fix after it was baked, but I added a little bit of extra Kato clay there. Alright, now this is all at the dull stage. So now what I'm going to do is turn it up really hot, and we will get it really shiny. Just keep your gun moving. You don't want to let it sit because you don't want it to burn your clay. But this is getting really shiny now. Oh, I love that. I wish you could see the difference like I can. It's beginning to look like glass. It's also beginning to sag because with the heat, the clay is going to get soft. So I'm going to just lay it down on the wood a little bit. I really like this. And that's all it takes. Just takes a little bit of time, not a huge amount of time. But can you see how nice and shiny that is? My card is beginning to burn a little bit. That shows you how hot this was. Matter of fact, this is steaming pretty good right now. So I just want you to see how pretty and glass-like that looks. So I'll try this again on another project, maybe a little bit later. When I have something else that I can do this on, and I will show you again so you can see it a second time. But in the meantime, get you some Kato liquid clay, or clear liquid poly clay is called. And I get mine directly from Donna at prairiecraft.com. And then I got another little squeeze bottle, which I also got from her. It has 4 tips that go on it. I ended up fixing the old one. What had happened, I think I told you that the clay was leaking out, but what had happened is the tip had just come untwisted. So I've got that twisted back. So this is a tiny little fine point, the green one. The orange is a little bit thicker. So now I have 2 that I can use for 2 different applications. But it also comes with metal tips, depending on what you want to use. But it's worth your money. Donna has worked really hard to come up with products that are good for polymer clay. How pretty and shiny. Much better than a glaze. This is all 100% polymer clay now. So I hope you like that. And ask me again, like I said, someone requested that I show them how to, because I had mentioned I was going to coat this with liquid Kato, and they asked if I could show how to do that. And that was just last week, and I've done it. So please, if there's something you want to see, and if I'm at all able to do it, I will do my best to show you how to do some of these things. So have a great day. Keep on claying, and I'll be back soon. Bye-bye.